What's up, guys? It's Mass Gaming back here with another video, and today we'll be doing a Son of Forgotten Chapter 1. Yes, Chapter 1. The first one was a prologue if you didn't read the title. Anyway, let's begin. Setting changed. Kono Hagakure, 7 years after the Kibi attack. In the private training ground of the Uzumaki Namakasi State, 5 individuals were engaged with training. A boy with shaggy blonde hair, with brilliant red tinted tips, with deep cerulean blue eyes, standing at around 4 feet high. There was Minima Uzumaki Namakaze, the third born of the Uzumaki family, who was chasing around his father Minato as the two were laughing loudly. Other two children consisted of two girls of the same height, 4 feet, giggling and chatting happily with their mother Kushina. Second born of the family was Mito Uzumaki Namakaze, who had her mother's brilliant red hair that went through the mid of her back, tied into a ponytail, and her father's cerulean blue eyes. The other was the youngest of the Namakaze family, Naruma Uzumaki Namakaze, who had inherited her father's blonde hair that was tied in a twin-tail fashion with bangs similar to her father's, framing her face and her mother's violet-colored eyes. The scene now was a pre-exit moment. A happy family spending time together, which would have been true if not for the pair of navy blue eyes watching his family partake in another activity without him. He was the oldest of Uzumaki Namakaze family of children, not family. He was the Naruto Uzumaki Namakaze, having a darker shade of blonde and a dark colored eyes than his family. After heaving inside, he returned to his room to finish his book, momentarily forgotten for the slim chance that he would be invited to play with his family. After reaching his room, he sat back down on the bed and continued to where he left off. He drifted off to a world that the book offered him as he contemplated his interaction with his family over the years. It's not going to change. I've been this way for as long as it's been this way for as long as I can remember. And I still don't know why this always leaves me out when we doing things. Kachan and Tosan didn't used to be like this. They used to include me in things when I was younger. I just know it. Unknown to Naruto and his family with the contract that Shinigami made all those years ago with Minato. Instead of his soul, he took away the feelings of love that Minato Kushina and the old who were close to Uzumaki Namikaze had for Naruto. It twisted exchange that severed the bond that had been with his parents and siblings, and by extension those associated with them. Though his parents did not neglect him in terms of shelter, he had learned to make his own meals and shop for clothes of his own, and they did severely neglect him when it came to love. He was forgotten and rejected in favor of his more vocal siblings. Many in particular who ensured his parents never paid attention to himself by being more assertive and vocal with his demands, like when it came to where the family was go to eat. This divide was not limited to them, and Narumi means to both stayed a distance away from their older brother like he was an outsider. Even though in the past they used to play together like normal siblings, however, that ceased happening years ago as Naruto began to ask him to meet Mima, and Mito closed him off any form of contact with her. From the situation that had been up to this point, he didn't think like it would be anytime soon. Letting his head fall onto his pillow, Naruto could only think about what his future would hold. He would rather be hated than completely ignored. But it seemed to the young boy that was an impossibility. However, he would be starting his ninja training at the academy in the fall. So far now, the future seemed brighter than it did in the past year. Kacha Tosa, can we learn? Oh, my bad. Time skip 3 years later. Kasha, Tosa, can we learn any cool jutsu yet? Mima complained as he was balancing a leaf on his forehead, little section, but his man said on something cool like his 5% gun. There's nothing as as boring as improving his chakra control. Remember, you need to learn to focus more if you want to be super cool ninja like Kacha and Tosan, right, Tosan? Naomi had lectured her brother and have asked her father if she was participating in the same exercise than her brother and sister. Sitting next to Naruma was Mito trying to concentrate on her own lead, though the ruckus of the young siblings was causing tick marks that were starting to become more visible with the indicator or any indicator. Mima and Naruto, could you please quiet down? I'm having trouble concentrating. Stop being so loud. Mito finally said, releasing her Nissan or as Minato and Kushina called it. But undeterred by their sister's order, the two started to argue as to who was better at balancing leaf on their older sisters, as her older sister sighed the impatience of her siblings. Laughing with his wife, Minato reassured the three that they would be learning something new soon as they gained a better grip on their chakra control. While Kushina lists up the reason as to why they need to polish up the chakra, or else they'd be taken over. They'd be just like her when she was getting a chakra powerhouse without any efficient way to use any of them, which seemed to have worked as the Mita started to work hard as her younger sibling quieted down and started to concentrate seriously with nervous expressions on their faces. As the cheers quiet down and started thinking and trying to send Minato Kushida let the thoughts flow around the chaotic events that had occurred in the past couple of years. Kumo's failed kidnapping attempts of the family friend of Hiyashi Hyuga's daughter Hinata. Luckily, Minato was on his way to Inuzuka compound tonight to pick up and drop off Mima when he spotted the Kumo Nin carrying a sack and running. Naturally, his response to put Mima down and chase down the shinobi and appropriating him. Apparently, he was part of the splinter group of Kumo Nin who were remnants of the radical group back in the time of the Third Shinobi World War, who desperately wanted the battle gun. Then there was the failed coup d'etat orchestrated by the Uchiha under the same masked man behind the QB attack all those years ago. From the reports of the incident, those involved were under a particularly powerful genjutsu, repping their position on the world and things around them. Thanks to Kuchina, Minato, Fugaku, and Mikoto, and their old son Itachi, things were settled with a few injured being the only casualties of the incident due to Minato Kushina setting the moves of the involvement of Fugaku, Minato using the Sharingan to disrupt the genjutsu. Finally, the thoughts reached back to the family, and their oldest, who wasn't taking part in the journey with his siblings. Mixed emotion was swirling within the two as they recounted their past interactions or lack of interaction with their son. Confusion and despair began to fill their hearts. The reason to why they were so distant to their oldest son eluded them. No matter how much they tried to remember what happened, why can't I find a reason that why I've been ignoring my son to leave behind? Agitated and confused Minato molded the reason of his neglectful behavior towards his son. I want to be close to Naruto, but for some reason I can't open my heart to him. I can't but feel as though they would put Mito, Mima, and Narumi in danger. Why? Why is that? While her husband was beginning to question if he was being pet or not, Kushina began to think of her oldest as well. I felt as a mother to Naruto. I just can't open my heart to him for some reason. Whenever I try to get back into his life, I feel like something dark and cold into my heart. I end up checking out. What happened? Kushina began to feel as if a curse was placed on her to never love her oldest son, which was the closest truth than she knew, though the truth wouldn't be known to her and her husband for a number of years. However, their thoughts were broken by the rather upset looking Narumi. Tosan Kachan Mimani is being mean and cheating. He said that his leaf was balanced, and when I looked, he blew mine out my head. Then he said he won because of that. Secretly complaining, Narumi holding her head in one hand, holding her leaf in one hand, while failing her other arm in a comedical fashion. Mim quickly defending himself. I did not. Narumi is making things up again. Tochan Kachan asked Mitoni. She'll tell you that I didn't do any of it. Right, Mitoni? I did balance my leaf when I told Narumi the wind just happened to blow right at the moment. And it was while I was telling her to, so it looked like I blew her leaf off my head, which I didn't do. Member said in defense, looking tearfully at his old sister for supporting his claim. However, that was not to be this time around. Tosan and Kacha, remember did it. You know he gets when he's in the contest. He'll do anything to win. Narumi was able to balance her leaf. While remember this did that so he could win. Mito said, patting her sisters on the head as Mima dropped down in his defeat and embarrassment. Defeat because he knew he had lost the argument, and embarrassment because he knew he was getting a lecture from his mother and father. Signing to them, Kuchina and Minato look at each other and bursting out to laugh at the end of the children. Seeing their parents laugh, Mito and Mima couldn't help but start laughing and giggling with them. Though they were laughing at the moment, Minato and Kuchina couldn't help but forget that there was a member of their family that had been forgotten and neglected. Scene change, unknown force on the location. On the other side of the village, there was a 10-year-old boy working on his own exercise. Unsuperficial who looked no more than 20 years old. How was that? Sensei asked the boy, wiping the sweat on his forehead with a towel handed to him by his sensei. Well, what can I say? You're doing great now. So, however, you're still stiff in some of your improvements. You know that to use my Taijutsu style, you need to have more power, fluidity, and speed. But don't worry too much about it. All right. Only 10 years old. Remember, Naruto sensei replied in a laid-back tone voice. He's still roughly 6 feet. His muscular yet linked build with short raven-colored hair, spiked up slightly with the gray strand hanging off on the side of his electric blue eyes that had a twinkle of mischief. So instead of round pieces like a reptilian nature. The young man was a memory from the last Shinobi World War, was working as a Shinobi for the village hidden under the sun. Taiyogakure that wished to remain neutral from the chaos, and they consumed the land, having no real military force due to being a rich agricultural village. Known during the war as the Heaven's Catastrophe due to his unnatural and terrifying mastery and control over wind, fire, and lightning, Ryu had Shiroken has succeeded in his mission to protect Kagura and advertently securing his title and page in the bingo book of various hidden abilities due to decimating numerous parties that were attempting to take over Kagura. But only a few survivors were able to make it back to their respective main forces and recall what they had faced. From the reports, it appeared that they had faced a demon in a man's body, though the correct word to say was a dragon in a man's body. But the only son of Tatsuya Shirukin and Hayane Hatenko, Ryuhei was trained in his taijutsu by his mother and kenjutsu by his father, learning ninjutsu and genjutsu from both his parents. Later signed his family private summer culture will require finding a partner that matches his own style and personality. Eventually, his parents passed away by the disease that, from what his mother told him, plagued the family for generations and a side effect from training alongside their parents. Ryu eventually contracted the same dragon virus that his parents had passed away from. Sensei, could I ask you something kind of personal? Is it okay if you don't want to answer me though? After timidly asked, slowly turns to Ryu with a somewhat bashful expression on his face. No, haha, no need to be shy, Naruto. I'm your sister. You could tell me and ask me anything, unless it's about women. I have no idea what's going on inside the ears. From what I've seen and heard, it's really kind of scary. Ryu happily replied. Though towards the end of his statement, he made a mortified face for admitting his lack of knowledge concerning women to his young student. From making an embarrassing face, Naruto face quickly turned a little serious with the anger seeping into his sensei nonsensical reply concerning him about something personal. Sensei, I don't want to know any of that. I don't care about that. I want to know why you won't go see someone who that can help cure you. Naruto barked out, finally having enough of his sensei not taking the disease seriously after knowing about it for so long. Wiping the mortified look off his face, Ryu changed from a surprise to solemn. That's what you wanted to ask about that. I mean, I'm telling you that I wouldn't be able to see your sensei that you wouldn't be able to see your sensei for a very long time when I started training you. That I wouldn't be able to be your sensei for a very long time when I started training you 3 years ago. Guess you wouldn't have forgotten about that, huh, Will Naruto? Do you really want to know the reason why I don't take my disease seriously? Looking at the student scratching out his question, he saw his student flinch before he nodded his head slowly. Then a smile come to his face. Ryu had walked up to his precious student and put his hands on his and rubbed his Naruto, bowing his head slightly with his cheeks flushed and pink in embarrassment and happiness. Well, Naruto, the reason is because I'm going to die no matter what happens. So why bother, you know? After hearing that sensor reply, Naruto had snapped immediately up and staring at his sensor with disbelief in his eyes. From this beach, Naruto's eyes quickly shifted to anger and confusion. After removing his sensei hand by grabbing his wrist, Naruto glared at him before yelling at him. Sensei, what do you mean, why bother? No, the diary, Sensei, you don't have, you can't do anything to cure you can't do something to cure yourself. To find a cure, Sensei, after beating his hand, Sensei, Naruto began to tear up and started sniffling slightly, whispering something that spoke volumes about the feelings in his heart. You can't die, Ryu Nichan. You can't leave me alone. I don't want to be alone again. I hate being alone. After speaking from his heart, Naruto was crying and sleeping at the thought of being alone in this world again. Ryu was the one who talked to played praise, lecture, and trained him. He was the fighter that he always wanted, and now Ryu could be at Shinigami door any moment. The very thought of losing him terrified Naruto to no end. Smiling solemnly and once again putting his hands on his student's rough hair. Naruto, you remember what I said all those years ago when I first met you? Sniffling and nodding his head, Naruto looked up at Ryu and repeated the words that he told him all those years ago after they made their bond as brothers. You said you would always be watching over me and you always try to protect and make me happy. After repeating these older words, Naruto received another round of roughening from Ryu. That's right, so don't be sad, alright? I was always being your heart so long you never forget about me. The times we would laugh, cry, and enjoy with each other, alright? Here I have something for you. Anniversary. It's been 3 years since we made that promise to each other, remember? Resetting the habits on heading out to a simple and black and white scroll. Looking at his brother, then reacted to him for the scroll. Reunion. What's in here? It looked like a normal scroll, but is it a scroll for history or training scrolls? Yeah, that scroll contains everything I have collected over the years, including my family scrolls, various weapons, including my personal ones, and other things you will have to find out yourself. Before giving his brother a smile and patting him on the head. But hey, we'll save that for next time, alright? Get home and we'll pick it up next time, alright? Wiping the rest of his tears away, Naruto returned his brother's smile before giving him a hug, which he returned tenfold. As he headed home for the night, Naruto felt something inside his heart nagging him to stay with his brother, no matter what he said, but he figured it was because of the talk they had earlier. His brother would never leave him, especially after the talk of them possibly dying right. Next day, Ryu never showed up. Okay, guys, that was the end of A Son Forgotten Chapter 1. It was very long. My voice is very dry. I need to drink something. But I'm gonna make another one straight after this video, so there will be 3 videos coming up. And yeah, be on the lookout for that Dragon Ball video. It'll be my first one. And yeah, like and subscribe and comment. Peace.